Good afternoon, everyone. We're coming on the air with breaking news. A shooting this afternoon in Annapolis, Maryland, with multiple people reported shot in the building that houses the Annapolis Capital-Gazette.
Breaking news this morning out of Franklin County, news that has affected our WDBJ7 family very deeply. Our WDBJ7 morning crew was live this morning at Smith Mountain Lake when shots were fired around 6:45.
When tragedy strikes a newsroom, how do the reporters who work there respond? This is the question I wanted to answer for this story. With the increased hostility toward the media, I wanted to learn how reporters do their jobs and manage their mental health at the same time. So I spoke with two reporters who experienced two very different tragedies 3 years apart. I spoke with Chase Cook in Annapolis and Shane Dwyer in Roanoke, Virginia. Cook is a reporter with the Capital-Gazette. On June 28th, 5 of his colleagues, Rob Hyacin, Gerald Fishman, John McNamara, Rebecca Smith, and Wendy Winters, were shot and killed in what Cook calls a targeted attack on the newsroom. Dwyer worked as a reporter at WDBJ7, a TV news station in Roanoke, in 2015 when his colleagues Allison Parker and Adam Ward were shot dead on air. Both Cook and Dwyer spoke about how they were able to be journalists after tragedies so close to home.
I just wanted to do what I thought was best, which was my job. And I sent the tweet at like 6:30, which was 3 or 4 hours after I got there. Everybody's been very kind, saying it's a great tweet. It feels weird for me because it is so attached to something so bad. But I do remember feeling, that I wanted to tell people the news, which was we would still have a newspaper tomorrow, and that I also felt the resilience myself of I'm not going to let somebody who targeted us stop us from printing the paper. I think it's part of our blood, right? It kind of programmed that way. And I think we all kind of talked about how this is what, the people who were killed would want. Rob and Wendy and John and Rebecca and Gerald. There's no way in hell that John McNamara or Rob or any of them would let that happen if I had been killed or Phil had been killed or anything like that. So we felt we were doing our duty to our colleagues and our friends, and also doing a duty to the public to say that we have to do this. I was crying, writing things. I was still totally not processing what had happened at the moment. I felt strongly that they deserved to have a newspaper the next day. And I know all my colleagues felt the same way, and the people at Baltimore Sun who helped make it happen, they all felt the same way too. It was an attack on everybody.
And then we talk about why we were there working and why we were there at the station and why I wasn't at home. I didn't want to be at home. A lot of people were shocked that we continued on the air at that point and that, we produced a noon newscast, we produced a 5, 6, and 11. We did everything that we normally do.
It's amazing.
But I don't know if we would have not been able to do it.
Yeah.
Because it's our job. It's what we do. This job it's not just a job. I always try to explain to people this is a lifestyle. This is not just a 9-to-5 job. Your entire life is this. And this is what you do. And so we couldn't think of any other way than to just continue on with our job. And these are, how often do we get to tell our own story? This is our story. This is important. And we need to make sure that these people's lives are remembered forever and that the coverage is what it should be. So people just sprang into action.
It's really a lot of adrenaline and I guess the word I'm looking for is I do it all the time. I work when I'm tired. I work when I don't feel well. It's just what I do, and I think it's what a lot of us do. And in that moment, even though it's so, what's the word I'm looking for? It's so much different. It's so much bigger a issue, a thing that had happened to me through reporting. But I still just was like, okay, I got an hour at a time, talk to the people, get the next press conference, get the information out, and then go from there. And it was really kind of the only thing that kept me going. If I hadn't have done that, I might have just sat on the curb and cried the whole time. And I'm thankful every day of having great coworkers who are still working today, still working at the office. We haven't missed an edition since.
Cook and Dwyer also spoke about how they have managed their mental health in the aftermath of the shootings.
A lot of us are getting therapy. I have a therapy appointment at 9:30 today. And I try to talk about that because I think it's important for people to realize it's okay to go to therapy. But I have really learned a lot about recognizing how I feel about something and understand that, it's okay to be unavailable and to take care of myself. And I think it's also okay to, if you want to be available for people, to be that. I mean, for us at the newspaper, we're constantly waffling back and forth between being counselors for each other, being friends, and being reporters.
It's funny. It's not even, it's not getting through it. I would just say, for many of us, it was our coping mechanism. We had to work just to stay alive, in the sense that, we just needed to go out and do something. Reporting was the tool that saved us. I mean, it saved me.
These two incidents were very different, but according to Cook and Dwyer, the way that they and their fellow journalists responded was very similar. So, to go back to my original question, what do reporters do after facing tragedy in their own newsroom? They do their jobs, to honor their fallen friends and keep their readers and viewers informed.